All right, so it's a beautiful Friday afternoon. I want to say a very thank you to you for staying tuned to CTV Ghana's number one. This is Fact of the Week, of course. It comes way every Friday at 2 to 3 p.m. where we discuss issues of national interest. And this afternoon, we'll talk about two key things. So in January 2025, there's a group called Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement, PTAM GH. They petitioned President John Dramani Mahama to remove the Electoral Commission chairperson, Madam Jane Adoko-Mensah, and her two deputies. We'll talk about that this afternoon. And of course, they are reiterating their call for the president to remove the Electoral Commission chairperson, the two deputies. You recall that within the week, the president directed the Chief Justice to relieve of his post, of his duty. That's the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Madam Gertrude Tokon, was sacked as the Chief Justice. It has raised lots of conversation there. So this group says that, look, if President John Dramani Mahama has sacked the Chief Justice, then in that same line, in accordance with the 1992 Constitution, the Electoral Commission, the two deputies, can also be sacked. So these are the two issues we're talking about. What the lawyers are saying and what the law actually say. Is the law still the law, or there's a different interpretation to this particular article that we are talking about? So this afternoon, two key issues we're talking about. If time permits, we'll talk about what many are talking about in social media, whether or not we can find it by Honorable Kenneth Japan. So there's an illustration. Those of you who did pure maths, or what that call elective maths, we understand. We've been finding X for a very long time. We don't know what has contributed to our career as journalists. But anyway, we'll deal with that matter this afternoon on the show as well. My name is Kwame Okyere Darko. You can call me KOG. Always a pleasure coming your way. Fact of the Week is always brought to you by Fenats. Wood is for life. Great furniture is made by Fenats. And also, Aquaba Natural Mineral Water. We're quenching the thirst and nourishing the nation with pure, clean, and refreshing Aquaba Natural Mineral Water. The text line or the WhatsApp number is 0200668486. It will be on screen shortly. 0200668486. So this afternoon, we are going to have some legal education about the removal of the call for the removal of the Electoral Commission, Madam Jane Mensah and her two deputies, and then the discussion on the actual removal of the Chief Justice, Madam Gertrude Arba Tokonu, on the show. So stay tuned. Let's get interactive on our social media handles as well. We're live on CTV. That's on Facebook, my CTV GH, and also on CTV Ghana's Top One. The text line again is 0200668486. I'll take a break. When I come back, I'll introduce my guest in the studio, and then our listeners who will be raised on the phone to deal with this particular matter until 3 p.m. All right, so let me welcome you back again on the show. If you just joined us on CTV, this is Fact of the Week, your weekly analysis program for just 60 minutes, a very brief but interactive as well. My guest in the studio is our very own Dr. Desmond Kofi Annan, who has been cleared by GTEC to use the doctor. He's not being chased like some political party appointees who have been changed for since January, and now they have to retire the doctor and use some titles as well. Doc, welcome to the show. I believe
that's a diabolical one for you.
Yeah, you've been cleared by GTEC. You are free to use the doctor.
Oh yes.
Unlike others who are
faces of it.
Who are now using different titles.
I beg you. I didn't say that. No, your own on this. We are grateful to God for life, and would want to say a very good afternoon to your listeners and your viewers, actually.
Yeah.
Both on Facebook and those watching on TV. And so it's good to be here.
Right. So first on the table, let's deal with the call to President John Dramani Mahama to sack the EC chairperson, Madam Jane Mensah. So the statement from Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement Ghana, in short, PTAM GH. I read a statement and then deal with the matter. This is Jane Mensah and her deputies from heading the Electoral Commission. So, introduction pursuant to Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, the Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement Africa, PTAM Africa, a civil society organization respectfully petitions your high office seek the removal of the Electoral Commission chairperson, Mrs. J. Mensah, and her 2 deputies. So 2 has to do with the grounds for the petition. Number 1 is the financial states, according to them, the procurement of a new biometric register voter device, actually, and the compilation of a new voters register before the 2020 general elections caused significant financial loss to the state. This expenditure, amounting to millions of taxpayer dollars, was unnecessary as the 2016 voter register and biometric devices were robust and fit for purpose. So that's the first provision they gave. The second one has to do with the creation of a constitutional crisis. They say the current Electoral Commission leadership under the chairperson, Madam J. Mensah, knowingly created a constitutional crisis through actions and inactions leading to the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections. There you have the statement on your screen. You can go through with me as well. They ignored prudent act advice from various stakeholders, including civil society organizations, traditional leaders, religious figures, and political parties regarding the risk and implications of their decision, specifically the decision to mandate a new voter register registration exercise during the peak of COVID-19 pandemic, endangered public health and exposed millions of Ghanaians to life-threatening risk, actually. The third one, misconduct and abuse of public office. This petition is grounded on the allegations of misconduct and abuse of public office by Mrs. Jane Mensah and her deputies, including Mr. Bosman Asare. These issues include gross incompetence, bias, procurement breaches, and poor corporate governance, all of which undermines the principles of free, fair, and transparent elections. So these are just excerpts of the story that I'm sharing with you. So you can also share your thoughts with us on our WhatsApp number 0200668486. Doc joins me. Is here. I've asked to introduce Doc. Yeah. Let me have your thoughts on this call for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. I'm sure that this is not something new. Many saw this coming right after the election, right after the declaration that President John Dramani Mahama has won. Is this something new to you? What do you make of it?
It's not something new. I mean, I don't. And clearly, when you look at the date of the letter, clearly, that was like 1st August 2025. And so it means that it's been up for some time.
Yeah.
And so probably the government itself is looking at an ample time to. Don't forget that they were also dealing with the issue of the Chief Justice.
Yeah.
So probably they want to finish the Chief Justice matter before they come to this one as well, which of course would involve the Council of State in some aspect of it when indeed that procedural exercise is being gone through. So I am not surprised at all, and I think there will even be more. Looking at some of the narrative in the media space. Today I was listening to some other group who are also coming from some other angles with some petitions, as it were, to get the Electoral Commissioner. In fact, the Electoral Commissioner and her team. And so they make specific references to some individuals, and not everybody do. Some specific individuals.
So largely, the 2 deputies, Dr. Bosman Asare and Samuel Tete.
The Electoral Commissioner herself, so the chairperson. So, like I said, it's not in doubt at all. Let's also understand, and let our viewers also understand that the processes in removing an Electoral Commissioner is also not an easy thing. It is not just like you don't like somebody and then somebody writes a petition and then you go.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, it has to go through a system and a process. And for those who are minded about how the processes went for Madame Charlotte to say, so shall this one also be.
Okay, so that's the former
Electoral Commissioner. fine. So how the system went over there, I am sure that is what is going to happen if indeed these petitioners are minded to push for whatever they are seeking for. I've gone through the petition, and well, I am not in a position to determine whether or not it will suffice. But there are some of the claims that, in sharing my view about, there are some of the claims
Rashid Issa, he is the Vice President of Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement Ghana, PTAM GH. Rashid, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time on CTV this afternoon. So you have written a petition. First, you are petitioning President Mahama for the removal of the Electoral Commission chairperson. You cited so many things, key among them financial loss to the state, creation of constitutional crisis, misconduct and abuse of public office. Why do you think it's necessary for the EC chair to be removed?
All right, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your listeners. As you have rightly stated, the Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement have been through our political system for quite some time. And then we noticed that one of the institutions that are supposed to be or labeled to be independent rather, unfortunately, is doing things that does not depict that level of independence we are looking out for. So that's what engineered us to go into this research and then come out with certain findings that we have stated in our petition, and then suggested to the president to execute his powers as stated in the Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. And then clearly amongst them are, like you have stated, causing financial loss to the state. And then with that, we cited some examples of a moment where the country was in a fix that the President of the Republic, then Nana Akufo-Addo, had advised that everybody fastens their seat belts. Was at a point where the Electoral Commissioner chairperson, together with her two deputies, were bent on going into a new voter registration exercise that was supposed to have cost Ghana some 80 million US dollars then, despite advices that we went through from other CSOs and then European Union organizations. She still went on to ensure this exercise was conducted. We also cited some issues of abuse of office, where we saw the Electoral Commissioner who, knowingly or unknowingly, had to go to the extent of appointing people who openly had contested on the ticket of political parties to come and then supervise or be returning officers at certain regions, on behalf of the Electoral Commission, an election as critical as the 2021. We also look at the constitutional crisis, where we wanted to prevent uprisings in certain parts of the country. So if you look at it, deliberately disenfranchised people and then also went against their constitutional will or right to elect people to represent them in parliament. We remember what happened at Central Kofi, Akpafo, Lolobi, and then Co. And Sao, where these people were denied parliamentary representation for 4 good years. Now, if these people are decided to, stand up on their feet, carry weapons into their own hands, and then have neighboring communities support them, we can imagine what will happen in this country. We saw the agency and then rush security service and the government then used to arrest people who even were holding bread knives, and then they said that we were going to have a coup in this country. So imagine if an uprising of that sort is to happen. I don't want to remind us of the Western Togoland issues and all that. So these and many other things are things we believe that makes the electoral commissioner to be in a position where she has not conducted herself well, and then we have to look at them. Now we are even going to look at electoral violence that occurred out of her leadership. We are going to cite the Ayawaso West Wagon violence, the Techiman by-elections, general elections in 2020, and a host of them, which she has not been able to conduct herself well. But if we are looking at the constitutional amendments and then what is required before one can be moved out of office, it clearly states out there. And then we believe that she's not fit for purpose. She has shown signs of incompetence in her office or in her duties, and has also misconducted herself for a person who holds that high office.
I see. So President John Dramani Mahama, after or since you presented a petition, I'm sure that you've had no response from the presidency, correct?
Definitely, yes, correct.
Great. So it seems that President John Dramani Mahama is silent on the matter. What then do you hope to achieve with this petition?
I mean, I've said all the time that the president and his government, as much as we have our priorities, also have what they are also looking out for in terms of administration. So from where we sit, Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement, we feel that this is one of the pressing needs, that if the president really is in for a reset agenda, like he said before he was elected, then it's one of the institutions that needs to be resetted. However, it is up to their discretion to decide when and how to attend to them, even though we deem it very important. We were a bit alarmed initially when we were not getting feedback from them, but we have also observed a number of activities or actions being taken by this government that we are certainly motivated that if the systems that were supposed to be put in place to be attended to the petition that went for the removal of the CJ has been successful, that today, based on the petitioner's suggestions or recommendations, a committee has gone together and then has brought a conclusion that led to a removal, then we believe that it is in place for the chairperson of the Electoral Commission and her two deputies also to be looked at, and the necessary action should be taken.
I see. Well, what do you say to many or those who say that this is a politically motivated agenda to kick out the Electoral Commission chairperson?
I mean, there's nothing you can do in this country or any part of the world that is going to directly benefit everybody or be in the good eyes of everybody. There are some that will surely complain. It is unfortunate that our wake-up call has come at a point where we have a government who has some of its people who also were against the Electoral Commission's activities before the 2024 elections. What we seek to do is to ensure that probity and accountability takes its good form. What we seek to do is to have an electoral reform in our country where people will have more confidence in the Electoral Commissioner, whilst we call it independence. What we are looking out for is not to establish precedents where every government will come and decide to put up their own Electoral Commissioner, but rather to put people of credible personalities to be able to work. And then, I mean, we continue with the good ones we had, like our own Afarijan and then others.
Of course, that was what I was going to ask. That is this not a continuation of a precedent being set by a previous government, where every president comes, so every government assumes office, and then wants to have its own leaders as far as the various arms of government, certain agencies are concerned? How do we deal with this matter going forward?
I mean, we are looking at, like I said, credibility, and then when you come and conduct yourself well, I'm not sure there will be anybody who will not feel comfortable to work with you. We have had issues where flag bearers clearly declared their stance by saying they did not in any way supported government institutions. And then when they came and made certain changes, that looks so political. But I'm not sure we've heard anything of that sort here, even though we've had the president now, when he was flag bearer, then complaining some of his party members also complain about the electoral commissioner's activities and all that. We are not politically motivated. We are an independent institution that believes in accountability, and then that's what we believe in, transparency, and that's what we are looking out for. Like I said, it is only unfortunate that it happened at a time that people in government also have a fair share in whatever we are looking out for to be the result of our petition.
Very well. Well, you have petitioned. President is silent. You are eager for the removal of the Electoral Commission chairperson. What next for your group?
I mean, we are looking for results. So while this has been able to done, while that is achieved, we would list out other things we are looking out for. We are still doing our own investigations in other government or state institutions, but the government might not have its direct eyes there. We have turned ourselves into the independent investigators, and then once we see something wrong, we'll surely bring it up. However, if we wait for some time and then we are not getting any clear movement or signs from the presidency as to what the way forward regarding the removal of the EC chair is, PITAM Africa will surely get back to the media and the general public on our next line of action.
Any ultimatum?
We'll leave it open for now.
Right, Rashid, let me thank you for your time this afternoon. So that's Rashid Issa, who is the Vice President of the Positive Transparency and Accountability Movement Ghana, PITAM GH there. Doc, yeah. I'm sure you listened to...
That's a beautiful interview you had there.
Interesting.
Yes, and so, like I said, Kwame, it's important that the viewers and our people understand that this is happening as a result of somebody feeling that the electoral commissioner or the electoral commission itself might have misconducted themselves, the leadership actually, or may have engaged in some incompetencies as well as bias, because there are grounds on which you can come and for some of your issues to be addressed if you really want serious about getting an electoral commissioner. Because don't forget that electoral commissioner chairperson is in the league of a court of appeal judge. And so if you are bringing a petition for the removal of such a person, you have to come strong and be grounded, well grounded. If deputies are also coming on the grounds or they stand as high court judges, they are in the league of high court judges. And so whatever petition you are bringing against the deputies should also be watertight and carry that gravitas. And so for me, like I said, there are some. I've read through the petition. Yes, you could clearly see that it is tailored to fit a certain clause that can really catch that agenda or that or arrive at that decision that they are looking for. That is to remove the electoral commission, because clearly I see the issues about bias in there, which of course is one of the reasons or one of the grounds for which an electoral commissioner can be removed. I see a ground trying to breach, or the electoral commission putting activities that breached fundamental human rights of the citizens, some citizens, which has to do with the SAL conversation. I see it in there, which is also a good ground for which an electoral commissioner can be removed. Gross incompetence, not just incompetence, gross incompetence. And I see them demonstrate some aspect of that, and they make the claim. I think if you read through, there's a portion, there's a paragraph like that, which has to do with gross incompetence and
so they're talking about the announcement of the election results.
Just severally. So it is some grounds that they want to demonstrate to the president that the electoral commission or the commissioner was exhibited gross incompetence in that regard. And then the last but not the least,
is that really gross incompetent, not just competent, but gross incompetent?
To announce electoral results 7 or 6 times, even if you remember, you announce election results twice, is incompetence. It's enough grounds for your removal, because elections in this country, Kwame, and per the constitution of our land, elections are critical exercises that ought not to be seen as just any ordinary thing. Just that we as a people in 2020, Ghanaians themselves are very tolerant,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what would have happened if this thing has happened in any other jurisdiction. What might have happened in that particular country or state? And so it's important that some of these things are looked at critically. And so if you have an electoral commission declare results in that number of times, it breeds a lot of confusion in the system. And we are grateful to God that the country did not run out of itself. I see that aspect where they want to demonstrate the aspect of misbehavior, which has to show that the electoral commission abused its resources that were allocated to it on the grounds that, I mean, it was just not competent in exercising that direct authority and supervision in its exercise all over the place. And so, like I said, I am not in a position to determine whether or not this petition would suffice. But it is all good and well if the president is minded. I'm sure by this time, whatever it is, the president might have taken the petition to the Chief Justice, which is the way to go. Procedurally, the president will have to take this petition to the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice will then look at it and determine if there can be any, in fact, there's any prima facie, and then for which reason.
Doc, kindly hold on for me. Let me speak to Dr. James Kwabena Bonfe. Okay. He is the CEO for Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems. He joins me on the phone. Doc, good afternoon to you. I'm grateful for your company this afternoon.
Good afternoon, KOG, and thank you for having me.
Great. Let me have your reaction to the removal of the Chief Justice, Madam Tokono. Many have raised several concerns about the fact that this is a bad precedent that the President, John Dramani Mahama, has set, contrary to what many say is the reset agenda. Let me have your reaction.
First of all, it is an affront to our constitutional dispensation. It's a challenge to, the principle of separation of powers, and it's a bad precedent that John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, would never be forgiven for. This is something that was initiated by him as a campaign promise, and it is obvious that the way they are going, their whole reset agenda needs a reset. They breach every step of the way laid in Article 1436 to allow the executive to enter the hallowed ground of exercising, if you like, executive authority in the judicial process to exercise some sanction or bring about, a very revered sanction of any nature or case that will be of a solemn magnitude that is irreparable by any means except than to relieve the person of his or her, a judge of the Supreme Court, or in this case, the Chief Justice for that matter. What they have done will not be applicable to a judge of the Superior Court of Judicature. So why would we do it to somebody of a higher measure, especially so against the precedent that was clearly laid by the Supreme Court in the Ajetu case of 2005? Except there's only one thing. President Mahama is bent on showing power at all costs because of the outcome of the 2024 general election. The Constitution is not the problem. President Mahama and his team of advisors are the problem. And let me show you why they are the problem. The recommended dismissal of Daniel Mensah as a High Court judge was sitting on President Mahama's table after 2016 in his first term. As we speak, there's every attempt to promote Daniel Mensah from the High Court to the Appeals Court. Why would anybody do this? Somebody that a prima facie case has been established by the Chief Justice, then a committee went into it, the Judicial Council sat on it, made their recommendation to the President that shield that or shelve it. But in this case, they have hurriedly, following the example of the late Dr. Kwame, that there are many ways in killing a cat, they have really truncated the beautiful record of the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu. And this is a woman so far, those who have followed decisions and rulings in the Supreme Court, from the lower court up to the Supreme Court, she is reasonable advocacy as well. But hey, what we always say is that they may think that it is the individuals here who will be affected. It is the nation that will suffer.
I see. Before we come to the repercussions of this ruling or this decision by the president, first a committee was set, a prima facie case was established. It was the final say.
That is not true. You see, this is why 5 cases pending at the Supreme Court, including one in the name of census. The Attorney General, as we speak now, has failed to respond to the processes that have been set on him. They see, and the Supreme Court said that our interlocutory applications should be denied because justice will be given at the committee hearing. Now, here is the point. The Supreme Court, the Chief Justice, on 2 different occasions, told the world that she was not being given fair treatment at the committee level. So, who established prima facie before the setting up of the committee? What was the prima facie? These were the questions that were posed and have been posed at the Supreme Court. They have not been answered. So, when you start on the premise, on the point that prima facie was established, the committee says that they have reached a conclusion on one of the petitions, and there are 2 outstanding petitions, and they are yet to go into them. Meanwhile, lawyer representing the Chief Justice has made it amply clear to the whole world that evidence that they put before the committee were ignored by the committee, including the travel policy of the Judicial Service. So, or in Accra, during the funny trial, without due cause to natural justice, that's unfair that we will do this to ourselves in this age and this era, given the history of our country.
What picture does it paint for our judicial system?
Well, it means that we cannot trust the judiciary, and the unfortunate part that you have 2 justices of the Supreme Court lead this process, and they don't want us to talk about it. Of course, and it is correct that the chairman of the committee said that their holdings, their meetings were not in secret, even though they were in confidence. And we know what happened. The chairman of the committee of experts that drafted the 1992 constitution, Nana Professor Susubribi Krobia Asante, appeared before them. He told them that the path they were on was in contravention with the spirit and the letter of the constitution that they drafted. The former Chief Justice, Madame Sophia Akofo, before the committee, she told them, she even added that what they are putting the woman to is a policy document that their Chief Justices have enjoyed. So it is not something new. Justice Ani Yeboah, a former Chief Justice, appeared before the committee to testify same. But beyond this, let's ask ourselves critical questions. How can you hold the Chief Justice responsible for payment that was made to her husband and her daughter by the Judicial Service without her direct involvement? Are you saying that if today some MPs are paid double salaries as it was done in the past, we should go and hold Speaker Bagwin responsible for controller paying MPs an amount that they received without the intervention or the knowledge of the Speaker? This is not only a bad and dangerous precedent, it is an attack on what we want to call decency and humanity.
Obviously, there are repercussions in the future. How do we correct this? Because it looks like if the opposition party assumes office someday, they will take a revenge.
First of all, I don't want us to even bring in parties to this matter. This is an attack by President of the Republic on the constitution he swore to protect. This is an attack by a party that sponsored the president against the very constitution that gives them life to exist and operate as a political party. It is about Ghana and not any political party, except those who are seeking to destroy the nation through what creates our governance architectural system. And that's what we should be concerned about. As far as I'm concerned, look, political parties would have their policies and all these things. But when you are given power of the state to handle, you govern decently, you govern according to law. I've shown you the bias of the president in exercising Article 140. I have shown you how he has gone beyond the law. I have shown you how the tendency of cases at the Supreme Court, we have concluded with the AG being reluctant about it. So where are we going? All you need to do is to campaign and win elections. Once you win, you can do anything with the constitution. Of course, we are giving reason and credence to what Hubert Humphrey said in 1965 in his small book, The Court is Mankind, that the law can be no better than the people who are called upon to obey or administer it. The law is so different from the people. Good people, the law will be good. But if you have bad people utilizing the law, they will make it a bad law. And that's why Adolf Hitler said that the law is a mere sheet of paper. And in the UK, the legal system within the UK, they say that the law is an art. It depends on who is holding it and what they do with it. So this is a dangerous precedent, and I tell you, Mr. President, he will live to regret it. Let me make this point. I'm in Kumai. One of the biggest regrets I'm sure Kwame Nkrumah had was the removal of Seyaku Kosa as Chief Justice. Even that, it was authorized quite differently by the 1960 Constitution in Article 44 and 45 of the Constitution. It gave the President the power to revoke the appointment of the Chief Justice at any point in time. It was from the experience of the 1960 Constitution that all the other constitutions we have had, 1969, 79, and 1992, went back to the status quo ante to make sure that we isolate the justices of the Superior Court from easy and cheap executive manipulation, such that you will need a certain oversight and exercise of judicial scrutiny before it is done. But look at us. We have thwarted it, and we think we have done something good.
Is there a way we can protect the judiciary? Because the Attorney General you mentioned is an appointee of the President. Obviously, whoever advises the President on legal matters is also somebody the President really is close to the President, or the President really gets.
The late Professor A.K.P. Kruge said something in his book, which was the David Darko Memorial Lecture 2010 on the challenges of the Constitution 1962. He dealt with the issue of who Attorney General Minister of Justice they are. It is not so much coupling the positions that matter, but who we appoint to go there. Look, I have made the point, and I don't need to belabor it. The law is as good as those who enforce it. Are we insistent on ensuring that there is rule of law, that there is separation of powers? I've asked two questions. Did the Chief Justice pay those monies that she is charged with for taking from the consolidated fund to herself? Did she receive the money that her husband and daughter received? What has happened to the person who paid the money to the Chief Justice's husband and wife, for which the Chief Justice is being punished? What has happened to that person? So you see, chaotically, the point is that give the dog a bad name to hang it. It's what President Mahama has done. Don't forget that he made a campaign promise that the judiciary needed a reset. And I think it is he and his thinking and how they have executed this that require a reset. The whole reset they promised requires a reset, because the path on which they are on is gradually putting this country on the edge. Have you seen what is already being reported on our system? Within 24 hours? Within 1 week? When you make it look as if you don't care. And that is what I think is becoming manifest.
Right.
The president doesn't care. The repercussions of his actions and inactions, these have been respect to the Constitution. And as those who are saying the president has breached no law, that those applications and petitions at the Supreme Court, are they without merit?
I see.
If they are not if they are without merit, why have they not been thrown out in limit? Why?
Doc, let me thank you. For the sake of time, we'll have to leave it here. I'm grateful for your time this afternoon. That's Dr. James Kwame Okyere, who is the CEO, Center for Citizenship, Constitutional and Electoral Systems. Well, he's talking about bad precedents, not just bad, but dangerous precedents. President has set. Doc.
Oh, Kwame, you see, I've always reiterated the point around your table, this particular table, what I'm saying again. The problem of we Ghanaians is the hypocrisy we demonstrate every now and then. I don't get it. Seriously. A lot of things. He's made some very good points I largely agree with. But there's some of the points that he's making, I don't get it. And I don't know how I'm going to get it. I am struggling. I don't understand. And for you to suggest that the president would regret what?
Regret the actions.
Regret what?
For sacking the Chief Justice.
For sacking the Chief Justice, you see. Did the president sack the Chief Justice? The president is acting on recommendation of a statutory committee. What are we talking about? That's what I'm saying, that, you see, so if that is how we are going to go, then we should understand that we should do everything without the Constitution. That is where I'm coming from, and I don't understand some of the points made by Dr. Bonfe, that the president will regret his action. And what kind of language is that?
But he's talked about precedent.
Regret what? I'm saying regret what? The man was president acted on the recommendation of a statutory committee by law. The Constitution says form a committee, and when you form that committee, the 1469 states clearly, unambiguous, that the decision of the committee, the president would have to implement. And so the committee says, we have seen XYZ about this particular case, and we think that the woman is not fit to occupy or go back to the position she was occupying, and so she needs to go. And the Constitution is saying that it is binding on the president. It's not like the president should have a say or should have a discretion about the recommendation of that committee. The president does not have a discretion. And the president says, okay, Mate, Mesum, if that is what you are saying, and per the laws of the land, I agree. Sign a warrant, and that is it. And the president does this, and you say he will regret. Regret what? You should go and read 296. What happens
Well, I'm sure he's of the view that the committee, the committee do not want to.
Don't struggle to ask me questions.
Well, align with what president intends to do, or some party folks wish it happens.
But every party, that's what they do in this country. The NDC, the MPP. Why? You've not had people sitting on radio, some MPP people sitting on radio to say that when they also come, they will remove all of these people. Yes. If you come and there's substance in whatever petition that you have against the person, if there's substance in it, why not? We will all support you. If there's no substance, we will all know. In fact, the one you said the committee, the person would have his day. There's one thing that is even going around, and Dr. Bonfe also reiterated the Chief Justice went to meet the committee, and she even were you in that meeting? A meeting which is supposed to be in camera. That people who sat to write the constitution. He made mention of one revered, astute individual, Nana something. He mentioned his name. That the man, and I'm asking myself that the Nana Onu didn't cover him. The Chief Justice, where is the report of that committee stating that the Chief Justice, the former Chief Justice met the committee, this is what she said. It is to suggest that the Chief Justice has some caucus meeting, the former Chief Justice has some caucus meeting, or what is this? That is where my problem is, Kwame.
I see. So you don't see any political witch hunting?
It is not for me to determine or to see a political witch hunt or whatever. There was a petition, was it not? It was given to Mr. President, was it not? Mr. President then forwarded the petition to the Council of State to determine whether it was a prima facie case. Don't forget, the former Chief Justice, Justice Sophia Akufu, is a member of the Council of State. Whatever decision that was taken, whether she dissented or not, was a decision by the Council of State. Finito. You could have disagreed. I don't fire who. But the decision that came was that the Council of State had found a prima facie evidence or case against the Chief Justice, to which they advised the President to now form the committee. The President now formed the committee. 2 former justices of the Supreme Court and all other people. Okay, all right. I think you said you have somebody.
Okay, so let me engage Lawyer Theophilus Jemega. He's also a private legal practitioner. Counsel, I'm grateful for your company this afternoon. Earlier, we were speaking to Dr. James Kobnabonfe, known as Kabila. He talked about the fact that Madame Tokono has been given a bad name and has been hanged. Do you agree with that assertion from him?
Good afternoon to your listeners. I don't know who gave him the bad name and who hung him. But if if the dog picks a bad name by himself and hangs himself, so be it. I mean, let us be honest here. I do not agree with him at all. And I don't know why he will make that assertion.
Why do you also say that she gave the bad name to herself? What did she do?
Yes, if you read the letter terminating or removing her from office, certain things were indicated. You see, a lot of people do not really understand what is Article 146. Article 146 is not really about removal of judges. It's about how, or if I use the Ghanaian parlance, by heart. So if you read even the first line, it says a judge of the Superior Court shall not be removed except by, okay? So it means that there is a constitutional limitation as to what you can do, there is a procedural limitation as to what you can do, and there's substantive limitation. So the procedures are limited by you can do A, B, C, you can't do D. Then the president can only do A, B, C, can't do C. I can't do D. So those are limitations, the executive limitation. So if the charges are brought against her, she's gone through the process. Let me also draw your attention to something. One of her lawyers, the venerable senior, very brilliant lawyer, was one of the lawyers in a case where Chief Justice Aban was to be removed. There was an application for removal of Chief Justice Aban. And Ayuko was one of the judges, one of the lawyers in that case. And today he is here as the lawyer defending the removed Chief Justice. So I believe that he has enough experience. If the facts were not provable or were not proven, they would have resurrected her. Yes, I've heard people saying that traveling per diem is not enough grounds to remove the Chief Justice. You know, let me also state here that one of the qualifications to become a Chief Justice is somebody with high moral character and proven integrity. Proven integrity. So if you cannot take care of one city, you can't prove your integrity when giving one city. How can we qualify you to have a proven integrity to be the head of the judiciary and the justice of the Supreme Court? That's one of the things people should know. So she should look at herself in. And indeed, Supreme Court has held in several cases that when the law prescribes a procedure for doing something, it's only that mode of procedure that should be followed. So if there's a policy about how you will travel and who will travel with you and who will get per diem, it is only that policy that ought to be followed. Any breach of it is a breach, punishable by the appropriate sanction. And in this particular case, it is not just administrative breach. We are talking about another thing, constitutional breach. That some staff were transferred arbitrarily and with resentment. And if you go to Article 296, the use of discretionary powers, it says that it cannot be used with resentment. You cannot, as we say in Ghana, I mean you power. You cannot mean somebody power and exercise discretion against that person. That's what the Constitution frowns upon. And if the Chief Justice, who is supposed to be creme de la creme of the judges we have, and remember the law is in the bosom of the judges, for which he's supposed to know that, and he exercised such a bad discretion, punished.
I see. So others are also having arguments that whether or not something bad was seen or captured or seen as far as a job is concerned, because of a bad precedent that we want to prevent, let's allow her to work, but many say that we are setting. Do you see this as a bad precedent being set, although the appropriate channels were followed?
Who defines what is a bad precedent and who defines what is a good precedent? I wish to know where something is defined as a bad precedent and something is defined as a good precedent. We should be happy that the Constitution is working. If it is a precedent, yes, generations will read it. My children and my grandchildren will read it, that this happened before. Indeed, the whole incident is a book which will be titled How Not to Misbehave as a Chief Justice. Period. That will be the title of the book. So it is neither bad precedent. Indeed, we would have been setting a bad precedent if we allow a Chief Justice that has flouted the Constitution to continue to remain in office. That would have been a bad precedent.
I see.
In my estimation, holding people accountable to what is needed to be done. Indeed, she had very good people who testified in her defense. Then also, you will notice that some of the accusations against her were coming from the judicial service itself. So the people were asking for somebody to be held accountable. So we would have been doing ourselves bad if somebody has sworn to defend and uphold the Constitution of Ghana, and the person doesn't uphold and defend the Constitution of Ghana, and we said, let us allow the person to continue to work. That, to me, is the bad precedent that we are setting.
I see. Well, away from that quick one, before I let you go because of time, there's been a petition to President John Mahama to remove the Electoral Commission chairperson as well. Key among the grounds or the reasons for that call is financial loss to the state, creation of constitutional crisis, misconduct and abuse of public office, among others. Well, let me have your reaction to that. Do you see these as strong grounds for her removal as well?
Let me disappoint you here. I have not had the chance of looking at the petition.
Very well.
Yes, I've not had, so it will be very difficult. I'll do myself and your listeners no good if I talk to it. But as much as possible, I'll be grateful if you can push it to me and for me to have a look at it.
Very well.
And subsequently, we can engage ourselves in this.
I'm fine with that, sir. Council,
and out of curiosity, how do you know a petition has been sent to the president?
Oh, so
or the president has issued a statement?
No, not at all. I have engaged the petitioner himself, and he says that it's been presented to the president. That's
again, if you go by Article 146, all the procedure from the submission to the end is supposed to be held in camera. So the petitioner will do himself or herself good if the petition is still kept in camera.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Council, I'm grateful for your company.
Pleasure.
So that's lawyer Theophilus Chibiga there. We're ending the discussion. Lawyer, Doc, yes. You're not yet a lawyer. Exactly. You will called by the committee. If GTEC has freed you, someone will catch you. Doc, final submission.
Kwame, I mean, in all of this discussion, I think that we need to, hasten slowly in some of our commentary, because it's needless to, as it were, call the president names and be more like combative when the man is demonstrating, prowess by way of the backing of the Constitution. I mean, so if it was bad then, and we said it and you were defending, how then you come today and say that it is good? It can never be the case. What is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. It is also to emphasize the point that as a people, we need to be forthright in our things and the way we appreciate issues in this country. Moving forward, if you say the Chief Justice has been removed, is not tight, it's frivolous and all that, yes, it can be, but positions as such is that you have to be beyond a lot of things. You understand?
Okay.
Yes, and I appreciate it from some angles that people think that the ground soft and all that, but that's their viewpoint, and I don't have any problem with that. I'm saying that everybody that wants to comment on this matter would have to do that with circumspection, and not to call more or less be naming the president or putting the president in bad light as though he masterminded all of these things. It can never be said that the president masterminded this thing.
I see. Doc, thank you so much. So that's Dr. Desmond Kofiana, my colleague here at Class Media Group. Fact of the Week is brought to you by Fenats. Wood is for life. Great furniture is made by Fenats, and also Aquaba Natural Mineral Water. We're quenching thirst and nourishing the nation with pure, clean, and refreshing Aquaba Natural Mineral Water. That's our wrap up. Facts of the Week on CTV Ghana's #1. My name is KOJ. We'll see you same time next week, Friday at 2 p.m. Good afternoon.